Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasoda Nanjana Rajajana Ranjana Yasoda Nanjana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Rādhā Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Rādhā Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Rādhā Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Vishnupad Brahmsa Parivraja Kacharya Sutarang Shishimad Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada Ki Jai Jaya Vishnupad Brahmsa Parivraja Kacharya Sutarang Shishimad Divine Grace Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai Shivaratri Ki Jai Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai All glories to the Sama devotees All glories to the Sama devotees All glories to the Sama devotees All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga So I was asked to speak a little bit about Shivaratri. Of course, this is the marriage, is considered the marriage of Lord Shiva and Parvati. Parvati being his second wife, you could say. So we'll speak a little bit about that. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So a little noisy, so we'll have to pay more attention. So, as is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, that Lord Shiva's wife was Sati. She was a daughter of Daksha. And Daksha was not very favorable to Lord Shiva, considered himself the big Prajapati, well-established, big Brahmin. And Lord Shiva, you know, throws his ashes on himself. He lives in not so great places and so forth. So when he did a big sacrifice, he did not invite Lord Shiva. He felt that Shiva is not required. He's my stepson. He's married to my daughter. So with that attitude, he did not invite Lord Shiva. And of course, Sati was feeling very offended that so many demigods, so many personalities have been invited, but my husband, Lord Shiva, Mahadev, is not being invited. So she still decided to go. But when she saw the whole affair, she was so disgusted that she actually burnt herself. This is in India, there used to be that ritual, the sati ritual, where ladies were not voluntarily all the time thrown in the fire with their husband when their husband passed away. So maybe we should reverse that now. It would keep the men being brahmachari a little longer. Anyway, so then reincarnated, came back as Parvati. And this is the celebration where Lord Shiva and Parvati get reunited, get married. And of course, Sati is perceived to be a very chaste person, very loyal to her husband. So she's a good example for the ladies. And of course, Lord Shiva is Mahadev. He's not ordinary. He's one of the Mahajans, 12 Mahajans, so one great personality. He's also not an ordinary jiva like ours. The jiva has 78% of the qualities of Krishna. Lord Shiva has 84 qualities, and in the Brahma Samhita is described to be like, Krishna is like milk, and Lord Shiva is like yogurt. Yogurt is milk, non-different, but when there's culture added, it becomes yogurt. So you can turn milk into yogurt, but you can't take yogurt and make milk. So this is the position of Lord Shiva. Is very, very unique. There's a wonderful pastime that is described in the Chaitanya Manga by Lochandas. Once Narada served Lakshmi very, very favorably. So she was feeling very kind to Narada. She wanted to give some blessing. So Narada said, okay, but you have to keep your promise. If you give me a blessing, you say you're going to give me some blessing, fine, but you have to keep your promise. So Narada is a little tricky. So she said, yes, of course, I'm giving you some blessing, so you take the blessing. He said, I want mahā-prasadam from Lord Narayan. She was shocked. How can you ask this of me? Even yesterday, Narayan told me never to share this prasad to anyone. So how can I give it to you? I'll go against my own husband, Narayan. He said, yeah, but you promise. How can you go against your word? So she was in a big dilemma what to do. So she went and served her husband, offered some food, mealtime. And of course Narayan could perceive that she was not very blissful. She wasn't her normal self. She was feeling a little morose. So inquired, what is the problem? Why are you feeling like this? He said, well, I'm in a big dilemma. Yesterday you told me not to give your prasad to anyone, your remnants, but this Narada tricked me. And now I'm feeling obliged to give to him. So Narayan said, okay, don't worry, you give. I won't look. I'll pretend I didn't notice. Sometimes we do that, we pretend not to notice things. So, and you do your thing. So she took the plate and gave it to Narada. So Narada was feeling so ecstatic, he started dancing in ecstasy, taking this prasad. And eventually ended up going to see Lord Shiva, which is also his brother. And he was dancing so much that Lord Shiva was wondering, what happened to you? Okay, normally you're in ecstasy, normally you're very happy, but this time you're so ecstatic. Bilkotik, so ecstatic, extraordinary. So what happened? So he explained, I had mahā-prasadam from Lord Narayan. It's okay, so did you give me some? He said, no, he had the little morsel left. Sometimes it describes that he had it stuck in his nail. When we eat, sometimes a little prasadam gets stuck in our nail. So Lord Shiva took that prasad, and he was so ecstatic that he himself started dancing. But he was dancing so much that all the devas thought, this is not the time of devastation. This is not the wild dance that Shiva does when he's destroying everything. What is going on? So they approached Parvati. He was dancing so wildly that no demigod wanted to approach him. So Parvati went to see what's happening. Why are you dancing like this? Oh, I had mahā-prasad. Oh, then you give me some. I don't have any. What do you mean? I'm your better half. You have to share everything with me. So Lord Shiva didn't have. So she was very disturbed about this. Anyway, finally, Lord Narayan blessed her that in Kali Yuga, at Jagannath temple, there will be a temple of you, Bimala Devi. And when the Jagannath temple offers, when the prasadam is being offered to Lord Jagannath, the next to receive it, you will receive that prasad. But so I don't just want to for myself. I want everyone to be able to take. So, Narayan blessed her. Okay, then after that, that prasad will be given to everybody. And it's interesting to note that we know that Bhaktivinoda, he prayed for a ray of Vishnu, for some great personality to come to spread Krishna consciousness, just like Advaita Acharya prayed to the appearance of Lord Chaitanya. So when Bhaktisiddhanta appeared, he appeared in Jagannath Puri. And what name did Bhaktivinoda give him? Bimala Prasad. One who would spread Krishna consciousness all over the world through the agency of our Srila Prabhupada. So it's a very wonderful pastime of Lord Shiva, connecting us very closely to that particular pastime. So we can all, of course, Lord Shiva is also known as Asutosh. Asu means quickly, and Tosh means who delivers or gives. So most people, they worship him because he's very easily gives gratification, satisfaction. But we don't worship him in that way. We respect Lord Shiva. Of course, he's one Mahajan, and we respect him as a great Vaishnav, great devotee. We don't want material benedictions from Lord Shiva. We want Krishna consciousness. We want, if we're going to get some blessings from Lord Shiva, we want some devotion to Krishna. So it says those who worship Shiva usually are demons, and they're very opulent. He gives so much opulence and so much, but he himself doesn't have that opulence. And those who worship Hari, Lord Krishna, they're very poor, because Hari is the one who takes everything away. Because material opulence, material things inhibit our devotion. We pray to Krishna, that's plan A. But then we have plan B, our material prosperity, our material possessions, our material... If Krishna doesn't supply, then I'll have plan B. So, but devotees, we want nadanamna janamna sundarim. We don't want any followers, beautiful women, or opulence. We just want devotional service, birth after birth. So, this is a little bit about Lord Shiva and Shivaratri. If you want more, you can read different places. So we'll move on now to the Srimad Bhagavatam, the gopis search for Shri Krishna. This is the canto, chapter 30th and text 39. Ha nātha ramaṇa preṣṭha kvāsi mahā-bhuja dāsyās kṛpaṇāyā me sakhe darśaya sannidhim. So I'll have others chant if you don't mind, because we're short on time.
ramaṇa preṣṭha kvāsi mahā-bhuja dāsyās kṛpaṇāyā me sakhe darśaya sannidhim.
Ladies, one more. Ha, oh. Master, ramaṇa, lover, preṣṭha, dearmost, kvāsi, where are you? Where are you? Mahā-bhuja, Almighty Arm One, dāsyāḥ, to the maidservant, te, your, kṛpaṇāyāḥ, wretched, me, sakhe, O friend, darśaya, please show, sannidhim, your presence. Translation and purport. She cried out, O Master, my lover, O dearmost, where are you? Where are you? Please, Almighty Arm One, O friend, show yourself to me, your poor servant. Please repeat. She cried out, O Master, my lover, O dearmost, where are you? Where are you? Please, Almighty Arm One, O friend, show yourself to me, your poor servant. Purport. Śrīla Viśvanātha Cakravartī Ṭhākura describes the following moving exchange. Rādhā says, my Lord, I am being burnt in the great fire of separation from you, and my life air is about to leave my body. Even with the greatest endeavor, I cannot maintain my life. But you are the Lord of my life, and so you can quickly save me, simply by glancing upon me. Please do so immediately. I beg you to save my life. Not for my sake, but rather for yours. After giving up all the other gopīs, you've brought me so far to a secluded place in the forest just to enjoy special pleasure with me. If I die, you will not be able to find conjugal happiness anywhere else. You will remember me and thus lament in your sorrow. Krishna replies, so let me become unhappy. What does that matter to you? But you are most dear to me. I will feel your unhappiness millions times more than you. Even if I've already died, I still will not be able to tolerate the pain that even one spot on the nails of your lotus feet may experience. Indeed, to prevent such pain, I am ready to throw my life away millions and millions of times. So kindly show yourself and drive away that unhappiness. But your life air is on the verge of leaving your body. What can I do to stop that? Simply by the touch of your arms, which are medicinal herb, with the power of revive the dead, my body will return to a healthy, normal condition. My life air will automatically come back and remain in my body. But you know the forest path yourself without my help, so why did you order me, the king's son, and a very young and gentle boy who is to be respected? Why did you command, take me wherever you wish? Why do you anger me like this? Rādhā cries out, please show yourself to your wretched maidservant. Be merciful to me, be merciful. When I order you, I was overcome by sleepiness. I was so tired from playing with you. Therefore, please excuse what your poor servant said. Please don't be angry. It was only because you treated me like such a close friend, though I am unworthy, that I spoke like that to you. All right, my love, I am very pleased with you, so please come to me. But I've been blinded by lamentation, so I cannot see you. I cannot see where you are. Please tell me where you are. So, of course, this is a very intimate pastimes. Krishna consciousness is not something very easy to understand. Just like now we've just spoke about Lord Shiva. So, here in India, of course, I want to take us a little bit in a different direction. The Mongols, they invaded India, and they ruled for about 800 years or so. And their greatest opposition, or their greatest aspect that was against, they were against the Hindu religion at the time, was of course our deity worship. For them to have any kind of representation of God is practically worshiping the devil. And this is why that many of them destroyed temples and deities of the Lord. And even though they ruled for about 800 years or so, very few of them became Vaishnavas or devotees or Hindus. They maintained, of course they were in the mood of conquering. There's a few exceptions. We hear about Chankasi in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, how the Chankasi met Lord Chaitanya, they had discussions, and finally he allowed the Harinam, the Sankirtan, to go on. We hear about Akbar, who met Jiva Goswami and had experienced some symptoms, some transcendental emotions, and he was very favorable to the Vaishnavas here in Vrindavan. He allowed the Madan Mohan temple and other Govindaji temple to be built, even contributed to some of the stones and things. Although later Aurangzeb was a complete opposite. He destroyed everything. He's known as the reincarnation of Kamsa. He was such a nasty fellow. So, and then after, the British, they ruled for about 200 years. And their greatest, you could say, they weren't so much into destroying temples and deity worship and so forth. Their main opposition was the immorality of Krishna consciousness or Hinduism. That here is a God that is killing his own uncle, Kamsa, even Shishupal. That was one of his complaints in the Rajasuya sacrifice, and Krishna chopped off his head. So, God is a killer. I remember when I was first coming to Krishna consciousness, I was 17 years old, from Canada. And I went to the temple, saw bhakti-yoga. Oh, yoga, I was kind of interested. I'd read a few Bhagavad-Gitas, the life of Mahatma Gandhi, and a few things. And I didn't know it was the Hare Krishnas, but I could see it was yoga. So I walked in there, and after talking to the devotees, they sold me a Krishna book and some japa beads. I went home, I chanted one round. I was convinced. It had such a tremendous effect on me. But then when I started reading the Krishna book, I had a big problem. Because when I read this pastime of Krishna killing Kamsa, not only does he kill Kamsa, but he grabs him and drags him around the arena. I thought, this is too much. I closed the book. I said, God is killing. What is this? Of course, later I went to the temple and devotees explained to me, well, that God is absolute. His loving and his killing is absolute. Like Lord Chaitanya said, you can embrace me or handle me roughly. I'll remain your eternal servant. But Krishna not only kills, right? Here he's with other women in the middle of the night. So the Christians, they had their morals. How are we going to teach this to our children? Krishna says, whatever great man does, common men follow. Is this what our children are going to follow? Right? No, shanti, shanti, just peace, no war. So they were very much against this idea of Krishna being, he's a thief, he steals butter from his own mother. Who steals things from his own mother? Right? You got to be pretty ungrateful. Okay, you can steal from others, but your own parents? But Krishna was stealing and just giving it to the monkeys. Not even sharing with others. He just gives it to the monkeys and others. Passes urine on the floor. Does all sorts of things. Right? So that was quite bewildering. Then also there's so many gods. Lord Shiva's a god, Brahma's a god, so many different gods. What is this? Narayan is there. So it was very confusing for a lot of these persons. And even Indians, we have, before that, even Bhakti Vinod in 1869, he spoke about the Bhagavata. What is this Bhagavatam, the Bhagavata? And he gives that explanation that for some people, it's just some kind of tribe people who just have some kind of, jargon, and they put some paint on their face and some kind of, uneducated kind of people. That was some explanation that Bhakti Vinod gave about some people's opinion of the Bhagavatam. Others will say, no, it's a Sanskrit text coming from the Goswamis who write these things and forgive people's sins give mantras and in exchange for gold. Like that. And some will say that Krishna is just some immoral person. It's just depicting some person who's very immoral. And some people in India, they love Ram more than Krishna, because Ram is very moral, very loyal to one wife, very righteous. Krishna is all over the map, all over the place, right? Doing all sorts of things. So they prefer Lord Ram in that sense. He's more virtuous. So it's very difficult to understand Krishna. And Ram Mohan Roy, who was a very famous person in India, he had a hard time with Krishna. He rejected many of the, although he was very patriotic, he wanted to remain a Hindu, but he adopted a lot of Christian ideas. He rejected deity worship. Once he saw a mouse, there was an offering being made, and a mouse came and started eating some of the offerings. So he thought, what is this? If God is there, how is he allowing this to take place? So no, it must be just some statue. So he rejected deity worship. Then we have our Mahatma Gandhi. He studied Bhagavad-Gita every day, but he tried to prove ahimsa, non-violence, through Bhagavad-Gita. And he said himself, I never believed such a person ever existed as Krishna. Then you have Dr. Radhakrishnan, was the second Prime Minister of India. But he said it's not to Krishna. When Krishna said, Mammana bhavamad bhakto, it is not to Krishna that you have to surrender, but the one unborn within Krishna. There was one associate like that of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who was glorifying Jagannath and saying how Lord Chaitanya is like the soul of Jagannath. He concocted that idea. He was trying to, many people, oh, wow, such glorification. Lord Chaitanya is the soul of Jagannath. But it was all misunderstanding. And Sri Damodar chastised him for his misunderstanding. Then you have Vivekananda Ramakrishna, Yatamat Yatapat, that all paths are the same. He was trying to unite. Okay, there's so much divisions in the religion, my God, your God, this God. So let's just, doesn't matter. We just follow whatever you want. Whatever, because it doesn't really matter. It's all imaginary anyway. So you're just imagining, it's just a dream. The Mayavadis, the impersonalists, they consider this material world just like a dream. We say, no, it's not a dream. It's temporary, but it's real. It's Krishna's energy. It's there, but it's temporary. But they say, no, it's just an illusion. So if you're dreaming, you can dream of so many things. So that was his presentation. And these people kind of ruined the whole idea of Krishna consciousness. And in between that, there was much of the Mughal influence, the Christian influence, and so many things were there. So Krishna consciousness, Krishna is not easy to understand. But somehow, Srila Prabhupada was so expert. There was a difference between the Mughals, the Muslims, when they came. They had the same approach, scriptures. They followed the Quran, and the Hindus followed their Vedas. But the principle was the same. But when the British came in, they came in with rational thinking, which was quite different. Their basis of understanding was rational thinking, and it really threw a lot of the Indian philosophers and so forth off. Even Bhakti-Vinod talks about studying different philosophers and so forth. But Bhaktisiddhanta was one of the first who combined rational thinking and scriptural. And Srila Prabhupada was very expert at that. He could explain philosophical principles in a very rational way. Just like one time they asked Srila Prabhupada, why is there so much suffering in the world? This is a big question, because if God is all-powerful, why does He allow suffering to take place? He's all-powerful. So everyone should be, no one should suffer? Right? If you're very powerful, How would you let someone, if you're very rich, how you let someone starve? You're going to give money, you're going to give facility, build some school, do something about it. But there's so much suffering in the world, and so either God is not all-powerful, or He doesn't care, right? So people become agnostic. He's up there somewhere, I don't know, floating in the sky, but we're down here suffering and He doesn't care. So that question was asked to Prabhupada. Why is there so much suffering in the material world? And Prabhupada gave a very beautiful answer. He said, when you pass stool, does that mean you're a bad person? No. You pass stool, but you're not a bad person because you do that. So why are you going in the backside of God, the material world? Why don't you come in the front of God, the spiritual world? It's very rational thinking, you know? It's like, wow. And Prabhupada was like that. He was so extraordinary. And we have to remember that when Srila Prabhupada came to America, in America was the Vietnam War happening. It was the height. And there were many people protesting the war, feeling it, that what is America doing in Vietnam? We should get the hell out of there. People were picketing, and Prabhupada was preaching Bhagavad-Gita, that Arjuna was a nonsense for what? For refusing to fight. He wasn't influenced by the fact that, well, how is these Americans going to understand it? I better compromise, I better do this, I better... No. He was preaching Krishna consciousness. But he was able to make us understand that we're not the body, we're spirit soul. So, non-violence is not going to unite everybody. To try to have peace, to try to make everything the same, no. But if we understand we're spirit souls, parts of Krishna, Jivere Swarupai Nitya Krishna Das, then we can be united. So he was saying ISKCON is the real United Nations. Because we have temples and devotees from all over the world, but we're all united on the principles of Krishna. Krishna is the hub, and then you have so many spokes that hold the whole thing together. Without the hub, the spokes are useless. So that hub is Krishna. Nityo nityanas chetanas chetananam eko bahunam voditata kaman. That He's that one personality who maintains everybody. So Srila Prabhupada was so powerful in his presentation that we were able to accept these things. Even though we weren't born in India, we had no idea of what Krishna consciousness was. But Prabhupada was so expert, he was clearing everything. All these gods, no, there is one God, but there are many demigods who are also very powerful, but they're not God. And just like we say landlord. You're a landlord, doesn't mean you're a god. Okay, you're maybe the lord of that little piece of land, you know, but you're not the lord of the whole universe. Only Krishna, Bhoktaram Jakatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suridam Sarvabhujanam Gyadvamam Shante Manichite. Only Krishna can claim this. So because there are many different lords, we say, okay, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, yeah, but they're not the supreme God. There's only one supreme. So Prabhupada was able to make that understanding. There's a difference between the Jiva Tattva and the Vishnu Tattva. So you can try all you want to meditate and do what, you'll never be able to become Krishna. Because that is not your position. You're the smallest particle of Krishna. But you're not. For God to be complete, He has to be Bhagavan, the biggest, and He has to be the smallest. Otherwise, how is He complete? If you have to be complete, you have to be everything. Now the Mayavadis, they say, well, if there's any division, that divisions must be illusion, because Brahman is one. We say no. Brahman is one, yes. But if you have 1,000 rupees, don't you have 100 rupees there? Don't you have 50 rupees? It's already included. There's no division. Everything's within, just like when you see light and you see a rainbow. Within the rainbow, there's so many colors. But there's no separation. It's not a different light, it's the same light. But within that light, the rainbow is there. So within that Brahman, everything is there. Within Krishna, everything is there. There's no separation. So there is no illusion. It's just a definition, an understanding of what Krishna represents. He's the Godhead. Everything comes from Him. So Srila Prabhupada was able to explain these things to us very clearly. So because of that, we were able to seriously take to Krishna consciousness. Now, this pastime of Krishna, Srila Prabhupada also explained that in sadhana bhakti there are two aspects, Vaidhi and Raganuga. So those who are on the Vaidhi platform, following rules and regulation, the Radha Krishna deity worship we do is in the form of Lakshmi Narayan, with Aishvarya Bhav. We don't have spontaneous attraction. So there's no question of approaching Radha and Krishna. We worship the forms of Radha Krishna, but in the mood of Lakshmi Narayana. Then, when we come to a platform where we become Raganuga platform, spontaneous, then that ability to worship Radha and Krishna is there. We don't hide, like Prabhupada said, we're not going to hide Radha. Radha is there, for sure. But there has to be a proper understanding. And sometimes people also misunderstand that when you get to the Raganuga platform, you throw away Vaidhi. No. Vaidhi is always there, but underneath, just like a leaf. Viśvanātha Cakravartī explains, just like a leaf, you have the bottom and the top. The bottom is Vaidhi Bhakti and the top is Raganuga. We want Raganuga. But if we remove or avoid Vaidhi, then what happens? We become sahajas. Sahajas means people who don't, they just jump to these particular pastimes of Radha and Krishna and conjugal affairs and so forth and so on. But they don't have the foundation, the basic understanding of what this is all about. And therefore they try to imitate or they take it cheaply. There was a story told by Bhagavad-Gita. Bhagavad-Gita was a very close friend of Srila Prabhupada, the same age mostly. And he's the one who donated the land where our Gurukul building is. So he was sitting with Srila Prabhupada in Prabhupada's quarters. Prabhupada was doing the Bhagavatam. They were very, very close friends. Sometimes Prabhupada said, Bhagavad-Gita, you should come to me in Hawaii. So where's that? Oh, it's a very nice island on the Pacific Ocean. We can go there. And I'll be doing my Bhagavatam. And Bhagavad-Gita said, well, what will I do? Well, you will sit with me. Nothing to do, you just sit with me. You're my friend. You don't have to do anything. So they had a very close relationship. So he was telling one time when he was at Radhakund, Bhagavad-Gita, and there was two Babas, Hari Baba and Thakur Baba. So one day, Hari Baba, he said, oh, I had such a dream of Krishna, you know, that Krishna is calling me, you know, he's calling me. So he saw Hari Baba, he was saying these things, Thakur Baba was listening. So the next day, Thakur Baba said, I had a dream. Oh, you also had a dream, yes. That there's a nice devotee, Hari Baba, he wants to come back, but the problem is still attached to smoking bidis. So Prabhupada was laughing and laughing about this. Yeah. So that's the thing. We can take these pastimes, these things very cheaply. So we have to be very, very careful. They may seem to be just ordinary activity, but they're not. Of course here, Radharani is expressing herself to Lord Krishna, and Śrīla Viśvanātha Cakravartī is describing it even more. So Radha's position, her mood is that Krishna belongs to me. And Chandavali's mood is that I belong to Krishna. Now Chandavali is not different than Radharani. She's just like we say that Abhimanyu is the shadow of Krishna. He's not different than Krishna. So Chandavali is like the shadow of Radharani. There's no difference. But the mood is different. And these particular moods are simply there to enhance the pastime, to increase the desire to please Krishna. Here, of course, we read earlier, these gopis, they just heard the flute of Krishna and they ran with no consideration. They didn't care If their children are neglected, their husband is neglected, if they're half makeup, if they're half dressed, they just ran to Krishna. Now sometimes we say when Krishna plays the flute, everything gets stunned. Even the Yamuna stops moving. But the gopis' desire to be with Krishna is so strong that it surmounts that feeling shocked by the emotion. They're so attached to Krishna and being with Krishna that even the blinking of their eyes causes them to curse Brahma, that he's such a fool that he created eyelids that were blinking. Not just a second. Lord Chaitanya expressed that even 1/11th of a second, although partial, it seems like years. So these gopis, they left everything and they came in the middle of the night to see Lord Krishna. And immediately Krishna started teasing them and saying, "What are you doing here?" He was joking with them. Just like he did with Rukmini. He started saying, "I don't know why you married me." He started telling so many things to Rukmini, trying to get her to become a little angry at Krishna. But instead, she just fainted. Krishna was shocked. So, of course, this is Dwarka pastime. But here, they came and they're dancing with Krishna and they're feeling so satisfied, so proud, so happy that Krishna has acknowledged them, that he's fulfilling their desire. And again, this is difficult to understand because Krishna expresses that in the material world, what is the greatest enemy? Lust. Avritam jnanam etenam jnanam. That, this is the worst enemy. Lust and greed. Here we see lust and greed. So how can that be? How can this be the spiritual world? That understanding has to be there, otherwise we'll take it as ordinary lust and greed. In the material world, lust is for me. And in the spiritual world, lust is described as lust is for Krishna. There's a big difference. It is compared to iron and gold. Both metals, but quite different. Iron is metal and gold is metal, but they're not the same. So what is found in the material world is like iron, and what is found in the spiritual world is like gold. Now Krishna has disappeared, and Radharani is begging Krishna to reappear. But she's not begging actually for her own self. She knows that without her, being the Ladini Shakti of Krishna, the pleasure potency, how will Krishna live? How will Krishna enjoy? There's no possibility. Even when Krishna goes to see Chandravali, Radharani becomes very displeased. But it's more like a parent. Just like when you have a child, you see the potential of the child. Maybe you want the child to learn mridanga, you want him to learn harmonium or chant, but the child doesn't have that vision, he doesn't see. So there's a disappointment with the parents, that you have so much potential. Why don't you do it? Why don't you use your potential? But that's their concern, the parents' concern for the children, the love for the children. So Radharani has that concern for Krishna. You've brought me here, and now you've left me here alone. What are you going to do? It's a problem for you now. It's not my problem, it's your problem. So although she's lamenting, indirectly she's chastising Krishna, saying, now what are you going to do? You've created a problem for yourself. Because you're not going to be able to enjoy. It's just like you prepare everything. It's like Prabhupada gave the example, you build a big house, very nice house, and someone says, what are you going to do with that house? Oh, once it's finished, I'm going to burn it down. Oh, what a fool. Right? You don't build a whole house to burn it down. So Krishna made all this effort, brought Radharani to a special place in the forest, and now he's disappeared. So how is he going to enjoy? And that pain of knowing that, seeing that, is causing Radharani to want to leave her body. Not for her sake. It's just like sometimes you see someone bump his head, and we've all experienced this. You see someone bump his head or cut, and you think, whoa. You think, wow, you feel more pain for that person than yourself. We've all experienced that. He's bang, someone hits his head, wow. But he's like, no, it's not that bad. He's not feeling so bad, but you're feeling worse for that person. You're imagining, wow, it's so much painful. Oh, you cut your hand, wow, it must be really painful. But the person, no, it's not that bad, actually. So Radharani is experiencing that. Then it must be so bad for you, Krishna. So you have to come back. And if I leave my body, what are you going to do? What's going to happen to you after? So Radharani is concerned about Krishna. She's not concerned about herself. She's not thinking, of now he's left, I'm in the forest, in the middle of the night, maybe some tiger will come, maybe something, maybe I don't know how to get out of this forest. Not thinking like that whatsoever. She's completely just absorbed for the benefit of Krishna. And if these were ordinary pastimes, Lord Chaitanya would not meditate, would not be absorbed in these particular pastimes. Lord Chaitanya, when he was in Jagannath Puri, Nagambira, that's all he was meditating on, was the pastimes of the gopis. And sometimes he would see a little hill, and he thought it was Govardhan, and he'd go running there, and he'd fall unconscious. Sometimes he'd see the ocean, he thought it was the Yamuna, he would fall in the ocean, go unconscious. But he was always thinking of the gopis' pastime. So why should a personality, Lord Chaitanya took sannyas so strict, no woman could come near him, would be meditating on these pastimes. And Prabhupada gave us also a practical example, is that you think the Goswamis, you think all the acharyas had time to waste to write purports on these things if they're just ordinary stories? They were such fools and rascals, they just wasted their time? No. Every acharya wrote purports explaining these things. Vishwanath Chakravartī, Baladev Vijabhushana, Sridhar Swami, so many great personalities wrote commentaries on these scriptures. Why? That's all they had to do? Waste their time? They're great personalities, great sadhus, they're just wasting their time? No. Srila Prabhupada certainly didn't waste his time. He came all the way to America at such an advanced age. Leaving Vrindavan. I'm going to be leaving Vrindavan pretty soon, and I'm going to be crying all the way back to Canada, feeling separation from this place. So we can just imagine Srila Prabhupada, how difficult it was for him to go to America, leaving his Vrindavan. And he expresses that in the early lecture. He says, why am I here? Because I have some business to do. I've been ordered by higher authority. But my place is in Vrindavan. I have no business here. It's not Prabhupada went to America to see, sightseeing, and I go on to see California, and that wasn't his business. His business was to come and give us Krishna. And he was such a powerful preacher that he gave Krishna everywhere. Not just in America. He gave it to Africa, he gave it to, Australia, so many places he gave. But he didn't compromise. He gave Krishna. And he told us, Krishna's God, you take it. And my business is finished. One time when he was in Hawaii, he was saying, there's 4 regulative principles. No intoxication, no gambling, no meat eating, no illicit connection. And I'm promising to take you back to Godhead. But Prabhupada was saying that, no speculation. So you're all speculating that I'm going to take you back to Godhead. But he said, rest assured, you will go back to Krishna. If you take it seriously, if you take Krishna consciousness seriously. So, these are beautiful pastimes that we're reading, the gopis, and we're meant for that. We're meant to. Our mode, Gaudiya Vaishnava special mood, is that we're chanting Hare Krishna, but really we're trying to attract Radharani. Because if we have Radharani, we'll easily get Krishna. There's another explanation Prabhupada gave. Just like if you want to impress a very rich person, it's very difficult. But if you give a little candy to his son, then the person's very pleased. To impress him will be very difficult. But if you give something to his son. So Radharani is so dear to Krishna that if we try to approach Krishna, it may be very difficult. But if we try to approach Radharani, it's much more simpler. So when we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna is so attracted to Krishna that when she hears the names of Krishna, she becomes drawn and attracted to us. And she can say, oh Krishna, this is a very nice devotee. You should pay attention to him. So this is our special aspect of our Gaudiya Vaishnava. That of course, as Prabhupada said, everyone is looking for Krishna. But what is Krishna looking for? What is his desire? He's looking for Radharani. So first deserve, first qualify ourselves, then desire. First we have to deserve, then we can desire. We have to qualify ourselves. It's not a cheap thing to be Krishna conscious, to understand all these things. And Prabhupada gave us the Bhagavatam and Nectar of Devotion, so many Bhagavad-Gita, so many books, and he really wanted us to understand this Krishna consciousness properly. Otherwise we'll get confused by so many people in India. There's so much confusion and misunderstanding and, and especially the different pastimes of Krishna. Just like Krishna stole the clothes of the gopīs. Some people have so many bad understanding of why Krishna did that. He's some kind of playboy. No. Krishna has no desire to fulfill. He's Atmaram, he's self-satisfied. But the gopīs wanted Krishna as a husband. So Krishna manifested. A woman cannot be naked in front of anyone except her husband. So Krishna, by doing that, he acknowledged them, okay, you can be my wives in that sense. He married 16,000 women, but because they were kidnapped. So who else would take them now they had been taken? So then Krishna married them. So Krishna is actually always, as much as we're meant to serve Krishna, we have to understand that Krishna is always serving us. We have to recognize what Krishna is doing for us. He's given us all these different things, this body, everything. So when we acknowledge that, when we recognize how Krishna is our servant, he's so kind to us, then it's natural that we feel indebted towards Krishna. If I save your life, you're drowning in the Yamuna, and I go and save your life, aren't you acknowledging that and thinking, I have to pay, this person saved my life. What can I do for this person? I owe something. Sometimes people, they get in a car accident and they're unconscious, and some people help them and they end up in the hospital and they woke up and then, who saved me? They want to find these people. Oh, you were in a bad accident, the car was on fire, people pulled you out. Who are these people who risk their own lives to pull me out? I want to go and thank these people. So when we understand that, how Krishna is so kind to us, then it becomes very easy to want to bow down to Krishna. I was recently at home offering obeisances in the morning. I do my little puja and so forth. And this particular morning I was offering obeisances, and it came to me how fortunate I was to be able to bow down to Krishna. Of course, I've been doing it for many years, but this particular morning it really hit me. That's such a blessing that I have, that I can bow down to Krishna. Something that I could not do for millions of lifetimes, either in other bodies, trees or bugs or birds or whatever I had, but even in this human body. Maybe I had human body in past, but I maybe not have done that. But in this lifetime I can do it. I'm so fortunate that I want to bow down to Krishna. It's a very rare thing. In the Gita, after seeing the universal form, Arjuna is so ecstatic. He says, I want to bow down to you millions of times. And then he questions, but why others are not bowing down to you? Everyone should bow down to you. Why they're not doing it? So we're very privileged that we can bow down to Krishna. We can think of Krishna, we can worship Krishna, we can relish Krishna. So we have to be very careful that we don't lose that humble attitude, that gratitude towards Krishna. This is the beginning of developing love. First you have to have gratitude. You have to have respect. Then you can become... just like if I have respect you and I have a good friendship with you, then I can make a joke about you. When you love someone very dearly, you can joke about that person. And that person will also find it amusing. He'll also enjoy it. Because he knows, despite my fault, this person really loves me. But if that's not there, you've just insulted the person. Oh, can you say that to me? Who the hell you are? Right? So joke is a tricky thing. You laugh at someone's expense, they say. It's a tricky thing. You have to be very close to the person. Otherwise, misunderstanding will be there. So, we cannot be that close to Krishna that we can... The gopīs, the coward, they're joking, they're playing, because they're on that platform. So our platform is very awe and reverence, Aishvarya Bhav, that we have so much respect. And from that, when we've really established that, then we can move on to other platform, other levels. But we cannot jump to that platform thinking, oh, now I can be with these things and I can enjoy these things, and we have to be very careful. Therefore, strictly following the principle, chanting 16 rounds minimum every day, reading, we have to practice our sadhana. We have to practice day in and day out, and gradually that attraction for Krishna will be there. Just like when you don't know someone, you meet, you start talking, you develop friendship, then naturally you become attached because you're with that person. So that attachment becomes natural. People become attracted just to smoking. So, So anyway, I've been talking a lot. I'll stop here. Some questions or comments? Yes, Panchagora.
Krishna incarnates and sends his representatives, and Vyasadeva wrote down the Vedas 5,000 years ago, but it seems like they were very difficult to understand, a lot of sacrifice and austerity and penances, and here we are very fallen, and Śrīla Prabhupada is giving us such a very, I'd say, straightforward, clear presentation. I mean, he gave us 1970 Krishna book with all the details of Krishna's most intimate relationship with his devotees. So how do we qualify, actually? We're very fallen, and all of a sudden the essence of everything is being delivered so sweetly by Śrīla Prabhupada and all the acharyas, but other people seem to have so much rigor and difficulty in other ages before.
Well, that's Lord Chaitanya's mercy that he came to deliver that. Without Lord Chaitanya, then he came specifically to reveal that mood. So previously, of course, people had more time to follow all these practices and so forth. In this age, we don't have that time. And through Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, that fortune is there, but it's still not for everybody. How many people are taking to it? When I became a devotee, I was telling my friends, I thought everyone would just jump on this, but no one did. It's like, I was shocked. All my friends, it's like, they all thought that I was cuckoo, So, at the same, so it's easy in one sense, and it's all revealed, but it's not because it's revealed that it's become cheap, It's still difficult. It's not an easy task to become pure devotee, to become Krishna conscious. We see, even in our movement, so many people have come, some have taken it seriously, they've taken sannyas, some have even become gurus, and then have had difficulties. Of course, apichetsu duracharo, we have to respect their effort and so forth, but still we see that it's not an easy thing, to take to it. So, we're privileged, but at the same time, it's not so difficult, so easy. Any other questions?
In regards to this point, that Purport was, also we can interpret it in the fact that in Bhagavad-Gita, Krishna gives us intelligence by which we can go to him. And this intelligence comes to us according to how much we surrender. So we know that there is the Kanishta-Adhikari, Madhyama-Adhikari, and Kama-Adhikari devotees. But Krishna, very mercifully in this age of Kali, allows everyone the opportunity to get this mercy, which in previous yugas was limited to just a select few people. So Kali Yuga is progressing, we're running out of time, and therefore Prabhupada's mission was to spread this chanting. And if we chant seriously, without committing any of the 10 offenses, then our intelligence will also become more profound, and we will not be able to eliminate anymore.
Jai. That's true. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai.
Laxminath,